We are receiving emergency levels of sea lions with domoic acid toxicosis. This is a ecological emergency that's occurring because of a very large algal bloom out off the Pacific Ocean that is causing domoic acid toxicosis in our sea lions and in our dolphin populations in large numbers. So what that comes from is algal blooms out in the ocean, otherwise known as red tides to most people, that are forming in a natural occurring environment, but growing larger and more concentrated because of climate change, warming ocean temperatures, and more runoff nitrates going into the water that feed those algal blooms. The animals are infected by it through the food chain. So they're eating fish that have eaten littler fish, or those fish then eat the algae, and it gets into the sea lion systems. It's a neurological toxin.
So the symptoms are quite disturbing because the animal is not acting normally. So they'll come out of the water and sometimes they just sit in one place and they don't really respond to what's around them. Sometimes they can be very hypersensitive, so sounds, touch, things like that can set them off into a seizure. Sometimes they can become very aggressive at different stages, but usually what we're seeing in the early stages is lethargy. Animals are just laying on the beach, they're not responsive, they might be seizing, they might be drooling, gazing up at the stars in the sky, just not acting normally, and they don't respond to people in a normal way during this state. So our treatment is to try to control seizure activity, and we use standard epileptic drugs that have been used in human medicine and small animal veterinary care for decades. So we use those drugs, we try and keep them hydrated, and we do that both with oral fluids and subcutaneous fluids. The toxin is water soluble, so that we do hope that by keeping them hydrated, it'll help them clear the toxin on their own.
This animal here is an adult female who gave birth to this little pup that you see on Hermosa Beach just yesterday. The mom and the pup got a little bit separated. The mom was having seizures at the waterline. The pup was on the beach. We had lovely volunteers, great partners with our lifeguards in beach and harbor who cordoned the animal and the pup off until we were able to get there. Our rescuers brought her in yesterday afternoon. She's now resting, being given fluids. The pup has been nursing and is also getting rest. And again, the prognosis should be quite positive once the animal gets through this. So another 30 to 60 days for both mom and pup. Hopefully they'll be able to return to their ocean home. That's our ultimate goal with all of these animals. So we don't know the total numbers. Many of the animals aren't washing up and might die and sink to the bottom of the ocean floor. So it's impossible to know the full extent. What we do know is that this is a severe event at the moment. We have documented thousands of dolphins and sea lions stranding and or washing up dead in Southern California, which makes it a very large and rather unique in terms of historical event. We saw a larger one in 2015, 2016 throughout the state of California. This one happens to be very concentrated in the central and southern coastlines. So our first animals with domoic acid came in roughly 3 weeks ago. Started as a trickle. In the first week we had 12 animals. Then in the next week we were up to 60 plus animals. So it happened relatively quick. The Santa Barbara area saw animals at much higher levels sooner than we did, and are still seeing numbers that are quite high and are overwhelming that facility up north. The numbers are growing here in Southern California. We're not sure when that peak is going to happen and then how many animals will be affected by the end of it.
So we do all we can. Right now there's so many animals in LA County that are washing up. We've decided to mark their body with a grease pencil so that people know that and so our organization knows that we've been there before and have seen this animal. In addition, we set up cones so that people are aware that they need to stay back and let the animal rest on the beach so that they can recover. Right now, that's the only solution that we have.